Hey y'all, good morning and welcome back to the Pageant Podcast. Today we are in another common area because the study room is taken, and I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate you coming along with me on this journey. I may not have the best equipment, however, I really do care about this, and this is truly a dream of mine, and so you guys are making that happen, and that means the absolute most to me. Today's episode is not going to be the history of pageants. Today is going to be the interview deep dive. However, the history of pageants is coming soon. I think I might do that one next Tuesday. So get ready for that. Before we get into it, because I know I talk with my hands, if you want to see my nails, they're so Hawkeye. I got them because here at Iowa, it is homecoming week. Without further ado, let's get into the interview conversation. Now, I'm going to talk about the three most commonly known types of interview, these being round robin, panel, and double panel. Round robin refers to having multiple judges seated at separate tables, and then you basically go in a circle going from each judge to each judge. It's kind of like Duck, Duck, Goose. Basically, you stop at each table, talk to a judge. Usually this is only a minute to 3 minutes because it's one singular judge, and then you move on to the next judge. Most of the time, there is somebody in the interview with a bell, which allows them to time the interview and ding you when you need to stop talking. Once the bell or dinger or whatever noise machine they have goes off, that means that the contestant needs to wrap up her interview right then and there. It doesn't matter if she's in the middle of telling a story, she has to wrap it up because it's time to leave. So that is round robin. Usually you'll have 6 to 10 judges that are all sitting in chairs, and you'll go and turn your back to the chair across from them, wait until the leader says go, and then walk down and sit in that chair. From then on, you'll usually have a minute to 3 minutes since it's only one judge, and you'll have to express yourself fully. Try to do as much as you can in a really short amount of time. The next type of interview we're going to talk about is panel, which is the interview that I had at Miss Iowa Teen USA. So I really love panel interviews because it gives the judges an opportunity to hear you for a longer time, and also it makes sure you don't have to repeat yourself in answers and feel like you're being repetitive. In a panel interview, all of the judges will be sitting in front of you, and you will walk into the room. Usually they don't have you sit down. Usually you're standing, which is different from round robin, if you remember. So you'll walk into the room, and then you're standing there, and then the person will say go, and again they will have a dinger, and they will ding you when it's time to go. Usually these interviews are a bit longer, so you're talking 5, 6, 7, all the way to like 15 minutes for a panel interview. The very last type of interview I'm going to talk about today is the double panel interview. Now, this is the interview I had my first year of competing at Miss Iowa Teen USA. And this basically means that the judging panel is split in half, and you start with one half of the judges, and it's just the same as I talked about of a panel interview. It's just you do it twice, and usually it's shorter, so it's usually 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes, and you stand in front of the judges, talk to them, and then you walk around like you do in round robin and talk to the other panel. Now it's time to get into questions. So a lot of people ask me, are your questions hard? Is it difficult to answer them? How do you answer them? And to them, I have a very simple response. When you're someone like me, who is in the teen division still, you do not have to answer any politicized questions, and you don't have to really know about very many current world events. They may ask you about the rising technology. They may ask you about large crises such as COVID that everybody is pretty much aware of. However, they're not going to expect you to have deep knowledge of our government and current events. It is good to have that knowledge just in case, though. I would say Miss contestants, specifically for Miss America and Miss USA, do need to have a broader knowledge of politics and take a stance. That way they are able to make conversation in an interview. You don't usually want to take a neutral side on large politicized issues, just because they don't care what your opinion is. They care how you present that opinion, if you're able to do it in a respectful manner, and if you're able to convey your ideas successfully. So it sounds difficult. However, my interviews are really easy because the questions they're asking are about me. They're asking me questions that I already know the answer to, and there's no correct answer because they're asking about my ideas, about my opinions, about how I feel, and that's not something that you can memorize. That's something you feel in your heart. Now, if you'd like some sample interview questions, here they are. A lot of times they will ask you, why should you be the next title holder? They'll ask you, what do you do to help in your community? They'll ask you what qualities you think the next title holder should have. All of these questions sound difficult. However, when you think deep down about what you care about and what you believe, they're truly very simple. Judges also love to ask about your background. They'll ask you if you're in high school, what activities you do, what sports you do, how you're a leader, what leadership positions you have held, things like this. If you're a college student, they might also ask you what's your major, what you plan to do when you grow up. This might be a question they ask too when you're young as well, and your answer is allowed to change. I know when I first started in the pageant world, my what do you want to be when you grow up was a veterinarian. This quickly shifted. Again, I would say most of your answers in your interview are not about the question, they're about how you respond. They're not asking for a correct answer, they're asking for you to be able to deliver your opinion in a professional manner that allows them to recognize you as somebody who's able to answer questions well. The only answers that I would say really matter are your why you want to do this, your volunteer work, and who you are, what abilities you have that set you apart from everybody else. Otherwise, there's no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. It is simply you expressing yourself. Now, let's get into how people prep for interviews. Interview prep is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of mock interviews. These interviews can be with one person, it could be with a panel of coaches. However, usually they will go over questions with you and then give you feedback, talk to you about how they felt about your answers, what you could do to improve them, make them better, make them more concise, because a lot of the times, especially with me, the issue is rambling. You give a good answer and then you keep going. If you can't tell, I'm a yapper, so this is a large problem for me. Being able to take this feedback is truly a skill. Sometimes it's hard to hear people say, you don't sound very confident in that, or that doesn't really make sense. Let's sharpen that up. When you're talking about things that are passionate to you and you're talking about who you are. However, being able to hear this can improve you not only in the pageant world, but as a person. The other type of interview prep is looking over your resume, because your resume is what the judges are going to have in the interview room to review back to. The judges will look at this resume and see what you've done, especially in the areas of volunteering, and they will ask you about it. It's also important to note that your interview should be different at different pageant systems. Some pageant systems are looking for more volunteering, and they're looking for queens that want to volunteer a lot, and so your answers should reflect more of your volunteering and what you do to improve your community. However, if you're talking about another system, you may want to talk more about your leadership skills and your leadership positions. It's not about lying, it's about shifting the narrative to showcase different sides of yourself. Also, sorry for the background noise, I'm in a common place. A lot of the times when we're young, the tips we're given for interview are no ums, like, or uhs, not stalling. And this is important because it allows you to seem more professional, but also at a young age, it teaches you to just spill your guts from the heart, to not try to think about it, but just allow yourself to flow. Over time, this flow gets better and it gets easier because you've been practicing so much. And then eventually you'll start to walk into your interviews and just feel like, I've done this a million times. I personally believe interview is the most important part of competition because it's the only time you're able to talk to the judges face to face and not only gauge sorry, and not only let them gauge who you are, but you can also gauge who they are. And this is helpful because then when you're on stage, you don't feel as scared. You know who the judges are, and you know that they're just people. I actually just got my interview video back from Miss Iowa Teen USA, and I have been watching it, and it's crazy to witness because I'm definitely somebody who walks into the interview and the uhs, all the pauses go away, and my heart just flows out, and I completely forgot what I said. I definitely want to be able to share a few clips with you guys from my interview, and so I'll be working on that the next few days. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. And if you have any questions about interview, please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to answer them. I will see you all back here next Tuesday for another episode of the Pageant Podcast. Thank you again for watching, and please like and subscribe for more. Bye, y'all. Happy Thursday.